As we look at how the parish of Liverpool has contributed to the history of the city as a whole, in this episode we're going to look at the police and fire service. As part of our civic engagement, Liverpool Parish Church has a strong working relationship with Merseyside Police, both behind the scenes and with various public events throughout the year. As well as moments of celebration, such as the annual police carol service, which takes place at St Nick's, there are many other areas of collaboration, from police chaplaincy into religious work, and a profile we've been able to give every year to Hate Crime Awareness Week. Whilst Merseyside Police was only formed in 1974, its predecessor constabularies date back not just to the formation of the Liverpool City Police in 1836, but before then to the system of watchmen in the city. In fact, the presence of night watchmen in England can be traced back to the 13th century, and probably didn't change that much before this engraving of an 18th century watchman by Thomas Rowlandson. However, it was an Act of Parliament in 1748 concerning various elements of the parish which established a formal system. The ecclesiastical nature of this act is primarily in the authorisation to build the new church of St Thomas in Park Lane. But alongside street cleansing and lighting was regulation for keeping and maintaining a nightly watch. These are the minutes of a vestry meeting later in 1748, and these were normally held at the parochial chapel of Our Lady and St Nicholas when the Act was applied. The first step, though, was to appoint a subcommittee of the vestry to oversee the watchmen. This committee began work immediately and kept detailed minutes. The city was divided up into 26 districts, of which the church itself, in Old Churchyard, was in District No. 1, and the watchman for this district was Edward Robinson, who lived in Hockenall's Alley, just off Dale Street between Cheapside and Vernon Street. But before the establishment of a proper police force, the only recourse to the law was through private prosecution. Again, it fell to the parish to act on behalf of the people of Liverpool, and in 1756 it was decided that the vestry should prosecute at their own expense all felons, including specifically the receiving or buying of stolen goods, which makes one wonder whether this was a particular issue at the time. The vestry minutes at the same time tell us something about one of our other modern-day emergency services. Every year we also host a carol service for Merseyside Fire and Rescue, but the fire service in Liverpool also has its origins at the Parish Church. This is a typical 18th century fire engine. 2 engines were presented to Liverpool by Thomas Bootle, but in 1731 they were given into the care of the churchwardens to pay for maintenance and keeping them permanently available for action. Within 3 years there were problems, and the churchwardens were rebuked by the vestry for allowing them to be moved and used to spray salt water into new ships, meaning that they weren't ready for emergencies. However, most firefighting was done without exciting appliances, but with fire buckets. In 1745, 60 leather buckets were bought to be kept with the fire engines. In 1762, the vestry entered into a relationship with the Sun Fire Office in London to buy more fire buckets, and in 1773 the churchwardens bought another fire engine and yet more buckets. In 1782, the relationship with the Sun Fire Office was cancelled and a policy taken out instead with the newly formed Liverpool Fire Office. By 1826, the service needed professionalising, and the fire police were established in Liverpool with engines and horses, although still funded by a halfpenny on the rates collected by the church vestry. It was, of course, impractical that the church should control the police and the fire service, but the churchwardens continued in nominal oversight for some years. But an unusual drama in this development of infrastructure came in the 19th century, as the running of the city and the church began to be separated out. In 1829, the corporation decided to employ police officers, a full decade before the Lancashire Constabulary was established, and this was eventually regulated by Parliament. At the same time, the Municipal Corporations Act 1835 prohibited local councils from appointing and paying the clergy. This was a problem in Liverpool, where the council had appointed the incumbents of St Nicholas's since the Reformation and had contributed significantly to their stipends as well. The Liverpool Police Bill before Parliament in 1835 seemed a perfect opportunity to tuck in some sort of financial settlement. In this extract from Hansard, one of the MPs for Liverpool, William Ewart, vehemently opposed the bill. He said, "Though this was called a police bill, the real object of it was to provide payment for the clergy of the parish of Liverpool out of the funds of the corporation. It bore the name of a police bill, it was true, but it contained a clause which enabled the corporation to make provision for the clergy of Liverpool out of their funds. The real object of the bill was to render the clergy of this parish completely free from anything like popular control in fixing their provision by Act of Parliament." Despite the opposition, the Act was passed, bringing to an end the control of the parish over law and order in Liverpool, though not, happily, the relationship with the police, which remains as strong as ever today.